There comes a moment in life when a person realizes they are exhausted in a way sleep cannot fix. Not physically, not even emotionally, but spiritually. A quiet exhaustion, the kind that builds slowly over years. Bills, responsibilities, disappointment, pressure, the constant feeling that life keeps asking for more than you have left to give. And one morning, you wake up and notice something frightening. You no longer feel like yourself. You still go to work, still answer messages, still smile when people expect you to. But inside, something has become worn down, like an old house carrying storms for too many winters. The ancient Stoics understood this feeling long before modern psychology gave it a name. They knew that the human mind does not collapse all at once. It cracks gradually, one burden at a time, one disappointment at a time, one sleepless night at a time. Marcus Aurelius carried the weight of an empire while disease spread through Rome. Seneca lost fortunes, status, and security. Epictetus lived as a slave before becoming one of history's greatest teachers. These men were not motivational speakers. They were survivors, and they all discovered the same truth. A person must repair their inner world daily, or eventually life will crush it. Because life never stops testing you. Not when you turn 30, not when you become a parent, not when you finally make money, not when your hair turns gray. The pressure simply changes shape. When you are young, you fear failure. Later, you fear wasted time. Then one day, you start fearing how little time is left. And that realization changes everything. Because suddenly the noise becomes unbearable. The endless rushing, the fake urgency, the constant comparison, the exhausting performance of pretending everything is fine. You begin craving something different. Not excitement, not status, peace, real peace, the kind nobody can take from you. The Stoics believed peace was not something you found. It was something you protected every morning, before the world entered your mind, before stress infected your thoughts, before fear took control of your decisions. And that is why this matters. Because every single day, life leaves damage. Small invisible damage. Anxiety leaves scratches. Pressure weakens foundations. Regret poisons memory. Anger burns holes through your peace. Most people ignore this damage until their spirit collapses completely. Until they snap at people they love. Until they lose motivation. Until they feel emotionally numb. Until they sit alone at night wondering why nothing makes them happy anymore. But the Stoics practice something different. Daily repair. Not perfection. Repair. And maybe that is what you need right now. Not a new personality. Not another productivity system. Not fake positivity. Just repair. Small repairs. Quiet repairs. Honest repairs. The kind that slowly rebuild a human being from the inside out. The first repair begins with something most people never learn to do. Letting yesterday die. Because most people wake up already emotionally carrying the past. Yesterday's argument. Yesterday's embarrassment. Yesterday's mistake. Yesterday's failure. They drag old pain into a brand new morning. Then wonder why life feels heavy before the day even begins. Seneca warned about this thousands of years ago. He believed human beings suffer more from memory than reality. Think about that carefully. Some people are not destroyed by today. They are destroyed by reliving yesterday over and over again. A conversation from years ago still controls their emotions. A betrayal still shapes their trust. A failure still defines their identity. Their body exists in the present, but their nervous system lives in the past. And eventually this becomes emotional exhaustion, because carrying old pain requires energy, massive energy. The Stoics understood that memory can become emotional clutter, and clutter suffocates the mind. Imagine waking up every morning and carrying bags of garbage on your back. Eventually, even walking becomes difficult. That is what unresolved emotional weight does to the soul. So every morning, before the world reaches you, you must ask yourself, what am I still carrying that no longer deserves space in my life? Not because it never mattered, but because continuing to carry it is destroying you. Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself constantly because writing helped him release emotional poison before it hardened inside him. He understood something modern people forget. The mind needs cleansing just like the body. Otherwise, emotional dirt accumulates. And slowly, you stop recognizing yourself. The next repair is harder. You must stop pretending you can carry everything. Because somewhere along the way, people started believing exhaustion is a badge of honor. That being overwhelmed means you are important. That burnout means you are ambitious. But exhaustion is not proof of greatness. Sometimes it is proof you abandoned yourself. Epictetus taught that wisdom begins by understanding your limits, not denying them, not hiding them, understanding them. Some days your spirit is strong. Some days it is fragile. Both are human. But modern life teaches people to ignore internal reality, to keep performing no matter how damaged they feel inside. And eventually, they break in silence. You see it everywhere now. People laughing publicly while privately falling apart, smiling while anxious, achieving while empty, surrounded by noise while internally lonely, because they built a life heavier than their soul could carry. The Stoics believed inner stability mattered more than external achievement. Because what is the point of success if your mind is permanently at war with itself? There is a reason older people begin valuing simplicity. Peace becomes more valuable than excitement. A quiet morning becomes more valuable than attention. A calm nervous system becomes more valuable than applause. You realize that protecting your energy is not selfish. It is survival. And maybe this is the hardest truth adulthood teaches. You cannot carry everything. Not everyone. Not every expectation. Not every responsibility. At some point, wisdom means deciding what deserves your life force and what does not, because your attention is your existence. Whatever owns your attention owns your life. And that leads to another repair most people avoid: removing poison. Some people stay connected to what destroys them simply because it feels familiar. Toxic relationships, endless comparison, environments that suffocate peace, habits that slowly destroy confidence. They know something is harming them, but they keep it anyway, because uncertainty feels scarier than suffering. The Stoics refused to live this way. They believed freedom begins the moment you stop allowing destructive things unlimited access to your mind. And this includes people. Not everyone deserves emotional access to you. Some people leave you drained every time they speak. Some people constantly inject fear, negativity, and chaos into your nervous system. Some people only feel powerful when you feel small. And if you allow enough poison into your life, eventually your personality changes. You become more anxious, more reactive, more bitter, not because you were born that way, because your environment shaped you slowly. Marcus Aurelius warned himself constantly. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts, meaning eventually, you become what surrounds you. That is why peace requires boundaries, strong boundaries, because inner peace is not built accidentally. It is defended intentionally, every single day. And perhaps the deepest repair of all is learning how to sit quietly with yourself again, without distraction, without noise, without reaching for your phone every 5 seconds. Modern people are terrified of silence, because silence reveals what distraction hides: fear, loneliness, regret, unprocessed emotion. But the Stoics saw silence differently. To them, silence was medicine, a place where truth could finally speak. And maybe that is why so many people feel emotionally fragmented now. Their mind never rests. Their nervous system never slows down. From the moment they wake up, they consume noise, messages, news, social media, opinions, arguments, comparison, fear. Their mind becomes crowded before the day even starts. And eventually, they lose the ability to hear themselves think. But clarity only comes to quiet minds, not rushed minds, not overstimulated minds, quiet minds. That is why the Stoics protected the early morning hours so fiercely. Before the world entered, before the performance began, before anxiety accelerated, because the first thoughts of the day shape the emotional climate of everything that follows. A peaceful morning changes the nervous system. A chaotic morning damages it. And over years, those mornings become your life. That is the terrifying part. Life is not built in dramatic moments. It is built in ordinary mornings repeated thousands of times. Your routines become your personality. Your thoughts become your emotional identity. Your habits become your destiny. Which means, if you want a peaceful life, you must create peaceful mornings. Not occasionally, consistently. The Stoics understood that strength is not intensity. It is stability, the ability to remain grounded while the world becomes chaotic. And perhaps that is what real maturity looks like. Not becoming colder, not becoming emotionless, but becoming calmer, more intentional, less reactive, less desperate for validation, more connected to what actually matters. Time, health, presence, meaning. Because eventually every human being reaches the same realization. Most of what once felt urgent was never truly important. The arguments, the ego battles, the endless chasing, the need to prove yourself, none of it brings peace. And deep down, people already know this. That is why even successful people often feel empty. Because achievement without inner repair still creates suffering. The Stoics never promised an easy life. They promised something better. A stable mind, a resilient spirit, a soul that could survive reality without becoming destroyed by it. And maybe in this stage of your life, that is what you truly need. Not motivation, not hype, not another escape, but inner steadiness. A quiet strength nobody sees, but you feel every morning when life tries to shake you. Because storms will come, money problems, health scares, family pressure, aging, loss, disappointment. None of that disappears. But your relationship to suffering can change completely. That was the Stoic secret. Not controlling life, controlling yourself within life. And when you finally understand this, something remarkable happens. You stop trying to dominate the world and start learning how to protect your peace inside it. You stop needing constant validation. You stop chasing every distraction. You stop giving your emotional energy to things that do not deserve it. You become calmer, simpler, lighter, not because life became easier, because your soul became stronger. And strength, real strength, is often quiet. It is the father who keeps going despite exhaustion, the mother carrying emotional burdens nobody sees, the man rebuilding himself after failure, the woman learning to love peace more than chaos, the person who wakes up every morning and chooses not to surrender to bitterness. That is strength. The Stoics believed every morning was a rebirth, a chance to rebuild the mind before the world reached it again. And maybe tomorrow morning, before touching your phone, before carrying the world again, you sit quietly for a moment. And remember this: your mind deserves care. Your spirit deserves protection. Your peace deserves priority. Because life will continue testing you. But you do not have to let it destroy you. You can rebuild. Slowly, daily, quietly, one morning at a time.